Good morning, everyone. This is Vishal Sachdev here. I'm at the University of Illinois, and we are doing this webinar as part of the digital marketing specialization on Coursera. So thank you all for joining. We have Lima here with us from Grainger, and he'll be on in a moment. It's great to see all of you, and I see the chat is already quite active, so please continue introducing yourselves. It looks like we have over 130 participants right now, so it's great to have all of you here. And we'll start with a chat with Lima, and he'll talk about SEO and what they're doing at Granger, and then we will go on to Q&A using the chat itself. So if I think most of the viewers would be from the course itself, but if you're not in the course, of course you can find out more about us if you search for digital marketing on Coursera. In fact, the good part is that the SEO team at Coursera has done a good job. So we have, on Google, we are on the front page. If you search for digital marketing, you'll find the digital marketing specialization. I think it's probably the top 3 links after the paid links finish. So let me formally welcome Lima to the session. So as you know, Granger and Bosch together are partners for the specialization capstone. And so the way we are working on that is Bosch is the supplier for power tools, or one of the suppliers for power tools to Granger. And the capstone prompt really asks you to design a campaign, and we are looking at 2 channels there, which is email and display, to help increase the sales of Bosch power tools on Granger. But there is a partnership between the 2 firms, and that partnership allows the 2 firms to exchange some data, and thus makes the campaigns or the retargeting much more accurate and much more contextual. So we have described a few scenarios in the capstone, and we've had over, I think, 340 learners already complete the capstone, and several more are in this 3rd iteration of the capstone. And I see some of you have joined us today from the capstone itself. And I see a lot more people from across different courses. So we hope that you will stay with us and continue through to the capstone as well. So now let me formally introduce Lima, and I have a little bit of a background on him. Let me put up those slides as well, and then I'll let him take over the mic as well. So Lima, thank you for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you, and of course a pleasure to have Granger as part of the specialization. So could you give us a little bit overview of your background and your experience in SEO?
Absolutely. Good morning, Vishal. Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here on this webinar and join with UFI Champaign-Urbana. So again, my name is Lima. I'm the SEO manager leading the organic search channel on the digital marketing team at Granger. Been doing search, PPC SEO, search marketing in general for 8+ years. Have been with Granger for almost 6 years. So kind of started the search marketing, the SEO program when I first started at Granger, and we have seen tremendous growth and development in the program, as well as the overall e-commerce at Granger. So been managing different SEO team previously at different organizations, small, medium-sized company, corporate level, international brands as well. So now at Granger, I'm leading the SEO strategy, the implementation process, for the main Granger.com brand, as well as some of the international brands and specialty brands.
Nice. Many of our capstone learners know about Grainger, but I think we have a big audience from the other courses. So just give us a little bit overview of Grainger as well.
Yeah, absolutely. As some of you may already know Grainger, because we're kind of doing this as a co-op opportunity between UFI, Grainger, and also one of our key suppliers, Bosch, for the course that Michelle already mentioned. So let me give you a little bit of background on Grainger. So for anyone who's not familiar with Grainger, we are a B2B industrial supply, manufacturing, commercial supply company. And currently, actually for the year of 2016, we are the number 11th largest e-commerce site rated by Internet Retailer Organization. And then for the physical year of 2015, e-commerce has already accounted for almost 40% of total business sales. So that shows the amount of growth. I remember when I first started 5 years ago, we were barely making 20% of total business revenue. So within the last 4 or 5 years, e-commerce has grown, like doubled. So that just shows the amount of growth opportunity as well as the user behavior in general, right? So we all understand B2C, digital online is where all the consumer are heading into. That's where the opportunity is. But even for B2B, we also see the same amount of growth in e-commerce. So for Grainger, we're B2B. We're selling over 1.5 million products online and offline. So think of anything that you can basically use on a regular basis at a different, in public space, or for public safety, for airports, government, educational organization. We are normally the biggest supplier to most of the organizations. We have over 25,000 employees globally, and within US we have about 300 branches actively running right now.
Nice. The interesting part is that whenever we think about commerce, we think about B2C, and most of us who are sort of learning and entering into this area, even when I teach my other courses in IT strategy in the university, most people are surprised that B2C commerce is only about 4 to 5% of the total industry, and it's B2B, which is the other 95% in terms of e-commerce. So that's sometimes shocks people. So I guess it's great to see an example of digital marketing where when I first spoke to Grainger, I said, Grainger industrial products, what could you be doing so much on e-commerce and in terms of digital marketing? But learning about you're number 11th on the list, and with 3 billion in online sales, really wakes you up to see the power of digital marketing on the B2B side as well. I think another interesting part about Grainger is that even though you are a B2B marketeer, you're really your messages get targeted to the end user as well, even though the purchase happens through some other channel. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of the broad line business, yes, Grainger is B2B, but in terms of digital strategy, e-commerce strategy, there's not that much of difference in terms of how we research, analyze data, and also apply the data into a strategy and implement the strategy, right? So if you think about, like, from a channel perspective, display, email, the type of display campaign that we're running are very similar to what you see from a B2C type of brand like Best Buy or Home Depot. And in terms of email or any other channel, pay search, SEO, the core strategy, the core plan to run those campaigns are very similar. So you can definitely apply a lot of B2C learnings and experience into the B2B type of practice. But the difference is, targeted audience, right? So with all the new technology and capability for us to be more precise and focus on audience group, we can target better. That's the part that really shines for B2B. So if there's like a targeted organization or corporation that has been kind of on our radar, and we know they're a big consumer for the type of product that we sell, we definitely want to target them with more personalized message, marketing campaign, and kind of go-to-market strategy.
Nice. Okay, so just as a background for those of you who are not in the capstone, yes, the capstone focuses on email and display, as the learners are creating a strategy to help increase the sales of Bosch power tools. We've set a target of 10% on Grainger.com, but of course here we are getting a sense of how the other channels in your digital marketing toolbox can be leveraged. So the topic for today's webinar is looking at SEO. So let's first, have you explain what SEO really means to us.
Sure, definitely. So for anyone who's not familiar with the term or the acronym SEO, it stands for Search Engine Optimization. So as Vishal mentioned, it's definitely one of the very powerful digital marketing channel in today's digital mix. As I mentioned earlier, I think you probably saw that in the earlier slides. SEO is actually now the largest traffic generator for Grainger. I would assume that's the same case for a lot of different brands. So what is SEO, or what is search engine optimization? From a user's perspective, this screenshot really captures what the end result that we're targeting for, right? So for a given Google search result, I would assume most of us online today are using Google on a regular basis for our personal usage, research, shopping behavior. So here you see a screenshot. This is like a typical Google search result. And within the screenshot, you see the paid search portion on the top left corner. That's the paid portion. So that's pay per click, and that's Google's revenue generator. And we basically pay Google per each customer's click. And we drive traffic, we drive revenue tremendously from this channel as well. And then you see the green box, that's the main search result. Typically, you will see between 7 to 10 different search results for any given search query. This is the organic search result, meaning no one is paying Google for this type of listing. Google are organically listing the search results based on relevancy, based on different measurement and different signals that they calculate, that they collect from different websites, and they calculate based on certain relevancy, quality, and authority level, and they rank that. So that's where we target as an SEO. And Vishal, if you can move to the next slide.
Yes.
So again, we're kind of switching angle a little bit, right? So the previous slide is from a user's perspective, how users see SEO, how users interact with the SEO channel, and how we drive the largest amount of traffic to Grainger.com. And now we're kind of thinking from an SEO's perspective. So what is search engine optimization, or SEO? It's basically the process of using both online, on-page, or off-page optimization strategies and tactics to drive those organic or natural search traffic by increasing the visibility of a website's URLs or pages in search results. So when I say visibility, in a simple term, it's the ranking, it's the listing order that you see in search results. And here on this slide, you see that graph. You see 3 main elements of search engine optimization, and that's where we normally create our strategy around. So we look at SEO strategy from architecture or technical, content and inbound linking. So for architecture, it's anything kind of technical related to the website, from all the way from like the domain structure, URL structure, domain strategy, crawling, indexing, even page load speed is one of the most critical factor now, as well as several different on-page HTML tagging attributes, different site arrow that we manage and track. So that's the architecture part, right? And then we move to content. That's where how search engine understands what's on the page, what's the topic of the page of the website. And they use that information to build the relevancy when people search for certain items or topic, how they bring those pages back and show that as search result, right? So when we say content, it's basically any textual content that we can either see as a user on page, or sometimes we don't see it, but it's available for search engines to grab and to crawl. And that's why it's all intertwined with each other, right? So you have to have a very good foundation, which is the technical setup of the website. But then you also have to have the meat, for a lack of better term, right? So which is the content. You have to have relevant, unique, and timely content on the website for search engine to grab and understand and build the relevancy. So we do a lot of exercise and a lot of practice around content, right? We do, as an SEO, one of the basic fundamental skill to have is do keyword research and understand how to place keyword on page in different elements and different attributes. And of course, SEO has to be very good with doing research and identify topic. What do we have to talk about on a given page, right? And this is actually the main topic of today's webinar. We'll get into more details on that. And then the third element is inbound linking. When we say inbound linking, it's basically the both internal and external linking pointing to a given landing page. So Google relies on, even with today's advanced technology at Google, they still heavily rely on the inbound linking or internal linking to understand. Think of linking as a popularity vote, right? To understand the relevancy and the quality of a given landing page. So that's the inbound linking part. And also, as I point out in the slide, social media signals are almost kind of treated as a form of link because there's human factor, there's human authority behind the share, the like, the post with social media. So that's like a very high level. What is SEO? And for today's topic, we'll get into more on the content portion.
Thank you for that introduction. I know several of our learners, and I have a couple of questions on the forum as well that I'll put to you later. But those who are, individuals, entrepreneurs, and starting out their own business and looking up to set up, their own websites, which one of these three elements would you say they should focus on first? At least effort. Sort of get the low hanging fruit.
For low hanging fruits, I'll definitely focus on architecture or the technical setup of the website, especially if you're building a website from beginning, or if you have the opportunity to rebuild a website. I will definitely focus on the technical portion because like I mentioned, that really sets the fundamental, the foundation of the website. Once you have a good architecture, definitely focus on content because in SEO world, I mean, even today's SEO world, there's a saying, content is king. I would say content is still the king. You definitely want to focus on content. When I say content, you have to focus on relevant, unique content, not just like content that you can grab anywhere and just put on your website, right? Your content has to be well thought out and researched and very focused and relevant and connecting with your audience. So those are the two I would definitely focus more on. Inbound linking, I would say once you have the good fundamental technical setup of the website as well, especially if you have good content, informative content, shareable content, inbound linking actually follows naturally. You don't want to force that part. You don't want to go out because as people who understand SEO, Google actually penalize link buying behavior, or if you're trying to gain links from some kind of spammy practice, Google actually penalize you. So you have to be very cautious on building links or acquiring links. And actually, if you have good content, relevant content, likable, shareable content, people will naturally link to you, right? So architecture is the key to me. And especially for a big enterprise level company, architecture is normally the most complex portion of the website, especially from SEO perspective, because we don't have direct control with architecture, right? We have dedicated IT team. We have the strategy planning team, and that's kind of the beauty of doing SEO for enterprise level company. You're not just doing SEO, you're building relationship. You're helping other people understanding SEO. You're educating people to gain their trust and also build your own credibility. So that way people can actually help you. Other team members, business partners can actually help you to implement and execute the recommendation that you put out there. So to me, I'd say architecture first, but definitely content, you have to build good content, relevant content.
Right. Well, thank you for that explanation.
Yep.
A couple of people have started asking questions, but I'll keep those for later. So let's move on to discussing how SEO and of course content marketing is another great way of sort of free attracting free traffic or free referrals based on the quality of your content and keeping your customers on your site. So trying to see what the connection between SEO and content marketing and perhaps placing this in the overall marketing mix. I know you've done an experiment at Grainger about this. So could you share your insights as to why you tried that and what are the results of this experiment?
Yes, definitely. So as Vishal mentioned, content marketing is definitely another hot topic in today's digital world. Everyone is doing content marketing. Everyone is definitely trying to get on the bandwagon. So same thing here for Grainger, right? Even for B2B company, we're also taking a first step at content marketing, started like a year and a half ago. Historically, content creation instead of content marketing, I would say it's more like content creation, content development. At Grainger, it was more like requests coming from different angles, from different business partners and departments, and the content creation team and the content planners are struggling with prioritization and work process, workflow, right? So what topic do we need to focus on first? How can we take out different requests from all different angles and figure out what do we do first? What's the most relevant, in-demand content topic? That's where SEO kind of step in and help, right? Because I mean, as I mentioned, content is a big portion of SEO practice and strategy. And we don't have the capability to create content. We need to team up with our content development team and help them and also providing guidelines. And with this unique problem or issue that we have historically at Grainger, it also presents an opportunity for SEO to kind of be a little bit more in the driver's seat on identifying the topic, identifying the need, and help the content creation team to prioritize different requests. So the SEO team has done a very comprehensive content audit on site, and I will actually suggest that for any type of SEO work, even for architecture, content audit should come first. You should have a better understanding of the current status, the current state of the website. And for this case, the current state and the current status of the content asset or the content inventory on site. So we done a content audit, and now we understand what do we currently have, what are the main topics, what are the URLs and on-page elements that we currently have on all those content pages that we have historically created. So now kind of creates a tracking sheet for us. And now we find the gap, right? So based on our product offering, our service offering, we already understand on the SEO side, what are the key focus from a search marketing or SEO perspective? What are the gaps between the current content we have versus the broader coverage that we should focus on? So that identifies gap. And then we turn that gap into the keyword research process, identifying more specific topics, types of content, right? Is it like shopping guide? Is a selection guide more effective? Is it more like a long form article, or do our customers prefer infographic? That type of research, we also kind of drill down to the granularity level. And then we figure out like a mapping file between the topic, the type of content that we currently have, and the opportunity topics that we should focus on. And then we provide that back to the content creation team. And now they have a very strong, very clear focus. And on top of the topics, we also provided some estimated traffic impact. So that's very helpful because, like I said, historically, the strategy is sort of whoever talks the loudest may get more attention, and then that will be the topic that the content creation team will focus on first. But now we're more like data driven. We're providing more kind of we're quantifying the content topic, not just there's a need from our customer, but how big is the need, right? So from the search volume perspective, we can quantify the need, but then from a traffic perspective, we can also quantify the potential result or the value from creating that type of content. So that's sort of the starting point, how SEO and the content creation team kind of team up together. But then at the same time, different requests will still flow in from different business partners. And that's where SEO can also taking another approach by looking at all the requests, kind of doing the same research, right? Taking all different requests. So like for now, public safety, Zika virus, that's like a huge topic. So do we need to focus on that? What's the current search volume? What's the current competitive landscape out there right now? Like if you search for Zika virus, who's currently ranking for it? What kind of authority level they have? What kind of architecture, content, backlink profile they currently have? What's the likelihood for us to rank well if we do want to get into that play and compete for that topic, right? So we now take all different requests and helping the content creation team to do the research analysis and come back with a prioritized list with data to back it up. So now we kind of take a lot of heavy lifting from the content team to our side. And that's not something like SEO have never done before. It's more like our daily work anyways. So that kind of frees up a lot of bandwidth on the content creation team. And it actually helps them for us to give them very clear topic and focus, and even like keyword options from the SEO research. Then they can actually focus on what they specialize for, which is creating unique, relevant content. And they understand the Grainger, content style, the voice and tones, so they can do a much better job. So, I mean, as a result, we saw some significant growth in terms of the new type of content, the new process, in terms of traffic, ranking improvement, because now it's focused, it has data to back it up. And the content team is very happy that they don't have to worry about prioritization and doing all the research. But at the same time, we're kind of leading them by showing them how to do this process. So eventually the ideal state is they know how to do keyword research, they know how to do the content topic research and some of the competitive analysis, but then SEO can always chime in and help them out. So that's sort of where we at today and how we kind of came along to today's state.
Nice, thank you. So I think a lot of the common theme that I picked up from your discussion was content marketing is with using SEO to drive or collaborate with the team is allowing you to put clear metrics behind the recommendation. So one is what kind of content, what is the potential impact, and then also the form in which the content should be made, visual, video, or text. So I think the good part is that content creation is now much more metric driven and focused rather than being, we think that people want to learn more about safety. Or, if somebody in another unit says, hey, I need this content developed right now because we are launching some new product and we need content on the website. So that's great. I think another thing to recap, which is probably important for everybody, to remember is that you always start with an audit. So you start with where you are, and then map out where, the path to where you want to be. And of course, the metrics, if you can guide this with metrics, that helps so much more.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, while we were talking, I was asking our viewers to do some experiments on checking how the term digital marketing, when you search for it in different domains. So we have people from, all over the world in the chat, and they are sharing the results of how the Coursera digital marketing specialization shows up on the search, organic search. So perhaps the efforts of the Coursera team in designing, sort of doing SEO for, of course, if we look back at all the three parts of, the three elements that we need to focus on. So site architecture and the content and the links would certainly be what they have been working on to ensure that. I would assume digital marketing is a very costly term to buy ads for.
Oh, absolutely.
Because it's very generic, and it's relevant across the world. So it's not a specific cultural context as well. So in that case, if you're able to achieve the first page listing, so we got some interesting results. Some from Singapore, UK, half page down. Quite a few, it shows up, the course shows up in the first 10 results. So that's good. And of course, I shared with the learners a statistic that only about 20% of our traffic is from the US. And I think the other big countries after US is India. And then we have, 3 to 4% from some 20 other countries. A lot of people from South America. Also, but of course, by a country-wise split, it keeps getting smaller and smaller. So one sort of we've got a few questions, and those of you who are watching live right now, please, you can start putting your questions. I have noted down some of the other questions that people have put earlier, and I'll share that. But briefly, could you talk about how SEO and SEO to drive content marketing plays in with perhaps this partnership with Bosch as well? Does it have an impact there as well?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. So it's a great question. We actually have a great example that shows how this type of kind of co-branding, co-op marketing, digital marketing opportunity, and how SEO can play a role there, right? So as part of this kind of co-op opportunity between Bosch and Grainger, we historically for co-op, we focus more on the spending channels like display, email, paid search. But because of the content marketing work that we have in place, we now have one additional kind of request blended into the contract between Bosch and Grainger, which is asking Bosch to provide their kind of brand awareness type of marketing content, or even their product introduction content. But the SEO catch there is we don't want Bosch to just provide their standard marketing content, marketing copy that they share with anyone. We want them to actually create unique content that Grainger can place on our site, but no one else, right? So that kind of goes back to the unique and relevant aspect of content. So the result is Bosch, their copy team, their marketing team actually done their research because they understand their user pool, their demographic, their persona much better than Grainger, and they understand they're more specialized in their product. So they have done their own research and come up and created a very nice piece of article about their brand, about their product introduction. We take that and place it on Grainger.com. So the placement is on Grainger.com, but the creator of the content is Bosch. So that's like a very unique opportunity to do content creation. And as I mentioned, it's only available on Grainger.com. So we are the unique owner of that content. Yes, I mean, any other site can syndicate the same content they can reference the content. But because we're the one who first came up, that URL, our domain, our URL was the first site that come up with that. And also because all the legal guidelines that we have in place, other sites that use the content has to reference us. And from SEO perspective, we actually have tagging that's available for other sites to syndicate content and refer back to us. So that's, again, unique, and relevancy is the key for content in today's SEO world. You can't just put together like a content by pulling pieces of information together. Google is getting much smarter on identifying duplicate content and all that. So that's sort of the unique play with the Bosch opportunity.
Nice. Okay, so let's start with some Q&A. I have some that I pulled out from the chat earlier in the discussion. So Jose had a question: what are the elements that make for valuable content?
So again, this is valuable content. It's not something that's tangible, can be measured, right? So what is valuable to me as a user could be very different than the value from a piece of content to Jose or to you, Michelle, right? So when I say valuable or unique or quality content, it's all kind of coming from the user perspective or your target audience or target customer perspective. What's valuable for them? So as a business, you should understand what's the biggest value that you can create for them, right? If you're creating a piece of selection guide, then you have to focus on what does that product or does the process will create value for them. Then your content will be valuable for them. But if it's an article about DIY, right, how to do stuff, then the value come out of that article is helping and educating the reader or the user to understand the procedure. So that is the value. Again, I mean, from SEO perspective, we tend to focus on the keyword because that's where we target, that's where we can see result. We want to show up higher in ranking. But does that keyword make sense for your user to search? That should be the first question that you always ask. You have to understand your user behavior, right? I mean, there are so many different data point that you can get that kind of information. If you do have on-site search, great. That's a data pool that you can get a lot of insights, understand what type of query, what type of topic, what type of idea that your users search for. And of course, Google is now kind of cutting the cord on providing search query data for organic search, but pay search still get search data, search query data, search keyword data. That's another portal for you to get more information from understanding the customer, right? So to me, valuable has to be has to be reviewed based on different persona, based on different customer.
Okay, great, thank you. Teresa had a question earlier about saying that since you have so many, I think she mentioned 1 billion, but I think it's more like 1.5 million different products or different SKUs. How does Grainger maintain and develop unique content?
That's also a great question. So it's a problem. Let me just say that first. It's a challenge for e-commerce website selling product. When I say e-commerce, we're selling product, right? So it's a challenge for commerce website because we actually, like, even for Grainger, we don't own the product. Best Buy doesn't own any of the Samsung TV. They are reselling the product. So a lot of time, if you think about the product related content, it's the product description, it's the tech spec, it's the all the attributes, the measurement. Those are actually content from the product perspective, but we actually don't own those content, right? So that comes the duplicate content issue that I mentioned earlier. But so first step is we definitely take any content that's available because we're e-commerce, we're running into that problem quite often, right? So we take all the information provided by vendors, but our internal catalog copywriting team is actually working on creating unique content for Grainger.com. When I say unique content, it's the unique product description. And of course, the problem for us is the scale, the scalability to do unique product description for 1.5 million products. So we definitely leverage some of the technology by doing kind of inline referencing or dynamic formatting of referencing, highlighting certain key elements or attributes of the product, but also focusing on the application, the usage, the unique aspects of the product. And we want to highlight that with the manual process. So we're seeing great result by combining both the dynamic attributes, text specs, plus the unique kind of curated, human language, natural language type of product description. So that's sort of our approach.
Well, thank you. So first of all, I mean, we've seen quite a few questions come up, and I would encourage the other listeners to also answer each other's question. I noticed Ivana just answered JC's question about some, basic sort of guide on SEO, and she's recommended the SEO Fitness Workbook by Jason McDonald. So please go ahead and do that as well while I pose some of the questions. I see a few questions come up about career planning as well. I'll post those in a minute. But let me post one question, or sort of pose one question for you from our forums, which was there on Coursera. This question might be relevant to many people. A small 2-person team handling digital marketing in the B2B sector. I think it again comes back to what's the thing to focus on. So his question is also, this is Robin, what are the focus areas for a 2-person team in a B2B market to maintain the SEO activities? What should they focus on? Okay,
so I would definitely still go back to the 3 pillars, right? So focus on technical, because that's the foundation. A lot of time, a lot of problem, a lot of SEO issue normally comes from the technical side, and that's often overlooked for a lot of company, because that's the low-hanging fruit to me. Do a site audit from a technical perspective. If you don't have a template or an audit in place, Google it. There are actually quite a few existing template available out there that you can just grab and use. And now, of course, you can elaborate on that as well. Do a technical audit, start with the technical, because content, it's a long-term process. But a lot of technical problems on website, it's more like short-term and low-hanging fruits that you can quickly act on it. And also for a small digital or SEO team at a big organization, try to allocate at least 25 to 30% of your time, do education, do lunch and learn, do training sessions, talk to all the business partners. So at least first draw out who's your key stakeholder, who's the main business partner that you absolutely have to sit down and build relationship with, because they will help you for the longer term. The payback is tremendous. So that's kind of my suggestion, and that's how I kind of learn by working at Grainger at a large corporation. Building relationship, networking, educating, it's key. Technical is definitely key.
Nice. Okay, we're getting quite a few questions on KPIs and metrics. Perhaps you can answer that in general or in specific to the metrics or the KPIs that Grainger uses to measure effectiveness of its SEO activities, and perhaps you've already shared some metrics that you use to help improve the content creation. So SEO and content creation, both important metrics and KPIs.
Sure. I will do actually kind of 3 tiers, right? So from a very high level, digital marketing or e-commerce in general, at Grainger, we definitely focus a lot on traffic and conversion, right? I mean, for e-commerce side, that's no doubt about it. I mean, for lead gen, you probably want to focus on lead nurture or lead conversion. So that's very high level. Even for SEO, we measure that on a regular basis, on a daily, monthly, weekly basis. Now, if we take it to the SEO channel level, there are a lot of SEO specific metrics that we focus on, right? From impression, click-through rate on the search engine side, all the way to the clicks and the traffic, and as well as ranking, right? You can't ignore ranking. Again, the difference between paid and natural is organic search, can't guarantee because that's in Google's control. Paid search has more control in ranking position or ad placement position. So, but ranking is still important because that indicates the visibility you have, which also has a strong correlation to the type of click-through rate that you can get. So if you think about that, the search volume kind of indicates the impression, the potential impression that you can get. From that, the click-through rate, the position that you're at in ranking listing indicates the click-through rate, which indicates the potential traffic that you can get. From the traffic, it goes to more like broader site engagement metrics or KPI, right? So time spent on page, bounce rate, page view, all those metrics are good to measure because, again, you may not have total control with that, but that's where you can actually build relationship with the other team, right? So if you measure time spent on page, bounce rate, page view, you can actually turn it over to your UX team, your user experience team, and show them that, hey, SEO has driven a lot of traffic on this landing page, but look at the bounce rate, right? So for all the amount of traffic that we're driving, we see people bounce out. We need to have a better understanding. So they may jump on that boat and help you understand because they can do research, they can do analysis. There might be some reason why people bounce, right? And then everything kind of leads to the conversion part, right? So for all the traffic that you drive, if you're doing a really good job on your site design, on your user experience, your site navigation flow, for e-commerce, there's registration process, there's checkout process. You have to make sure all those different steps are in sync, right? You have to provide the best user experience. Just think about your own purchase behavior for an e-commerce site, right? You want to have that seamless, smooth process overall. So that's sort of all the metrics that we focus on a regular basis. And for content marketing specifically, I mean, it doesn't really go outside of that range, right? So we focus on search volume because that's where we can actually at least gauge the prioritization of a different topic, right? Is that topic in a huge demand? If it is, search volume kind of back it up. And then, from on-page perspective, engagement, right? So time spent on page. So if you're writing a piece of article, how much time you're expecting people to spend reading that piece of article? If you're putting a video on that page, how much time you're expecting people to watch that video? Are you expecting them to complete the video or go halfway through? Because based on user behavior research, you can understand all that kind of data analysis. Then you can actually come up with new strategy and better strategy to position your content and and then plan your video production where you need to place the most important piece of marketing message. So all sort of different KPIs that we measure at Grainger.
Nice. Okay. So we have perhaps the last question, and there are two sort of questions. One is focused on SEO, getting to be an SEO master, as Billy is asking, and a couple of people are looking at more general, so step-by-step process of getting started in SEO, which may be too big of a question to answer. Perhaps we can recommend some resources after the talk. I can share that, and then some of the viewers have questions about a broader step-by-step process on career in digital marketing, which if you can take a swing at it, but we can share some resources with the learners. But first, let's start with becoming an SEO expert. What are the steps?
So that's a great question. I can share my personal story, right? So when I first started doing SEO, there's no SEO course. There's not even a digital marketing course anywhere available at any educational organization. So SEO is very unique because it blends both technical and creative marketing together, because you have to understand basic HTML, CSS, simple HTML language, simple HTML tagging, because you need to understand the technical portion. But it also has the creative marketing aspect because there's content creation, there's creative involved with that. So to start, I will recommend to start with some simple beginner guidelines that's available out there. I can actually share 2 links after I answer this question. There are some really good beginner guidelines that can actually walk you through the fundamental knowledge, how to start, and what you need to focus on in terms of learning SEO. And there's always books available. But and also another recommendation is, start researching online. There are a lot of good forum out there. There are a lot of good website community online that shares that kind of information. If you have a question, post that, and start hanging out with SEOs, right? So figure out, there's like Google Hangout available. Actually, Google Webmaster team, they do Google Hangout with the SEO or the website webmaster crowd. They answer questions. They answer SEO type of questions. They never give SEO guidelines, but they answer questions. If you have challenge, that's where you can hang out and gain a lot of insights. My recommendation actually for everyone, if you do have a personal website, if you do work for a company that has a web presence currently, I know that's hard to start for a company, start your own personal website. Start a portfolio online. Start your own resume site online. It's very simple, right? You go out, register a domain. It can be under your name or anything you want. Start your own website and do a lot of practice, hands-on experience, learn from that. So while you're reading the books and learning those, you can actually optimize your website. Optimize for something that you want to do or that your personal habit focus on. Start with that, right? If you're enjoying cooking, start your own online recipe website and start optimizing that site, because that's how I learned. I basically learned by doing and practicing SEO while I was reading all the tips and all the guidelines.
Nice. Thank you so much for that clarification. One question came up a couple of times is there any certification that they can apply for once they do either self-learning or practice at work?
I do think there are a few programs available, but I will actually refer back to Vishal on this capstone course. I mean, start here, right?
Okay.
Start this course.
Yes, that works.
Yeah, have a better understanding of digital marketing in general will definitely help. Because a lot of stuff that I believe Vishal talks about during this course actually can apply to the fundamental digital mentality and the SEO mentality. And in terms of certification, actually, I have to look into that. I know there are courses available. I mean, Google it, right?
Yes. Yes, we'll do that. So thank you, Lima. And thank you to all the viewers who are listening from across the globe. Hope you enjoyed it. And we'll try to do more of such webinars in the future.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.